Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast, where we take a look inside the lives of the accomplished and successful businessmen and women. We'll get up close and personal with the founders of booming startups. So lean in and prepare to carry away something to skyrocket your own business. Please subscribe to our show and do leave us a review. It means a lot to us. Now, here's your host, Rajiv.
Welcome, listeners, to a very special episode of the Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we have with us Emraan Hashmi. He's one of the top Bollywood actors today, and through his successful career, which spans 13 years, Emraan has received several awards and has established himself as one of the stalwarts of Bollywood. Welcome, Emraan.
Hi Raju, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Emraan, or Emmy, as I know him, was born in 1979. Has always lived in Pali-hill, been my neighbor for a long time. I think his schooling was Maneckji, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And college was at Sydenham. Married to Parveen and lovely son Ayaan, born in I think 2010. So Imi, do let us know what's going on in your world today.
Well, right now just out from a release, film released on the 13th of May, and it was just grilling month of promotions for Azhar. We've been working on this film for almost a year before that.
Oh, wow.
So it released, and post that, I've just gotten out of that. I just went for a trip with my friends. You might be knowing one of them. You obviously know one of them, Vishal.
Of course.
We went to Koh Samui. We went for a holiday, and now I'm taking my family to Canada, Toronto. So just taking it easy till my next film starts and my next round of promotion start.
Great. So coming to acting, who are your favorite actors?
When I was growing up back in the 80s, I think I was very influenced by people like Mr. Bachchan and Mr. Dilip Kumar. And there were a couple of reasons why I'm so influenced by them. Is because they were the first kind of actors in our industry that kind of underplayed their performances. There was obviously their kind of skill set and the way they worked at the characters was so unique that when they performed on screen, it didn't look like they were acting. It just looked like they are being that person. And that's what I found very interesting in an industry where everyone is trying to overplay things and over dramatize things. And that's what Bollywood is always known for. I think it's just changing in the past 5 years. Before that, it was a very, very dramatic medium, our film industry. And I think that's changing. But I think that the people who started off, the man who started it off was Dilip Kumar, who was very influenced by, and Mr. Bachchan. And I aspire to be like that. The kind of performances that I give in my films are kind of underplayed and more being the person and not overplaying, not doing more than what's required in the scene. It's all there on paper, not over dramatizing things.
Correct. And I mean, over your span of 13 years, what do you say would be the hardest role you have played?
I think the first film was the toughest because it was a decision that I took overnight to become an actor. I never wanted to be an actor, and Footpath happened, and it was this very, very grilling year of doing that film because suddenly I was thrown into the fire. Doing a film was something I never thought about. It's okay for a lot of kids these days, and generally actors, you've always aspired to be an actor. For me, I never wanted to be one.
Correct.
And suddenly this happened by accident. And I keep saying that acting chose me than me choosing this profession. And so that was tough. And then Shanghai was another film that broke the mold for me. It was a film that I did with Dibakar Banerjee, a very good director. I did it 4 years back. Very, very tough to play because he was not like me at all, this character. And even Raghu for my first film, and just pulls apart, chalk and cheese. So it was very difficult to play those characters I couldn't identify with.
I did see that. Yeah, it was a very nice movie. I think a pretty short one also. It wasn't very long.
Yeah.
Good. And to the other side, the most fun role that you've played.
Fun role? Oh, there have been a lot of fun roles, I think tasting the first box office success with Murder. Murder was great fun because all of us were newbies. We had actually all of us come out of flop films, so we were all struggling, and it was a great time because you had nothing to lose, and there was a sense of abandon when you're starting off. You have these rough edges as an actor, and there are not many expectations, so you just let it rip with the performance and everything. So I think that was something that was was great fun. I remember shooting. We shot in Bangkok for a month, and it was just like a full-on party. The entire schedule of murder. So that was great fun. And there are a lot of films. I think I've taken back some great memories, even from Azhar,
Yeah.
because playing cricket with the man himself, with Azharuddin, for almost 4 months, was very grilling, but it was great fun because I was, I'm like a below average gully cricketer, and being trained by the former Indian captain was just like a dream come true. So the entire schedule and shooting on famous grounds around the world,
Oh
like
yeah,
Lords,
definitely.
Derbyshire, and Edgbaston, and even in India, a lot of grounds that we played here. It was just like a dream come true for me. It was great fun.
What would your dream role be? I mean, if you haven't yet done it, I mean, what would it be, and what do you think would bring to it actually?
I liked DiCaprio's role in. See, I'm again the departure from Bollywood because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
generally
It's
I
you
don't
can.
watch too many Bollywood films per se.
Yeah.
I think because things are changing right now. The kind of characters that I've always wanted to do now, I think they've been essayed by a lot of actors, and
Correct.
also the scripts are being written. But I draw a lot of inspiration from Western cinemas. Things like I guess DiCaprio's role in Aviator.
Okay.
I love that character. I loved his character in Wolf of Wall Street. I've loved Jack Nicholson's character from Shining. So there's some certain madness in these three characters, I know, and this is something that I've always wanted to somewhere get a character like this. I think we're progressing to playing more complex characters now in our industry, so it's a great time.
Yep.
But if it's like it's the Aviator character, a man who has the OCD, the disorder,
Yep.
and the way DiCaprio has portrayed that, I just love that film. I've seen it over 10 times.
Okay.
So films like this and characters like this, yeah.
Okay. If not acting, what other profession you would choose? Any thoughts, or what were you planning to go for?
Uh, yeah, before becoming an actor, I was very keen on getting into special effects in movies.
Ah, okay.
And this was back in 1998. I just come out of college, and I I've always wanted to do something creative. I've been an avid gamer.
Okay.
And I've that's where the passion came from, and I've loved these kind of big blockbuster movies. I've grown up watching films, Spielberg's E.T. I've seen Lucas's Star Wars, and I've always been intrigued by that world of make believe and special effects. So that's something I was toying in back in the day. I'd got a degree also. I was going to actually fly off to the States
Okay.
and start working there, but then suddenly this happened. Films happened, and it was a complete detour. So that's something that I think I was very passionate about back in the day of visual effects in movies.
Okay. And how would you define your acting process, acting style? I mean, in your own words.
I think, like I said, these actors that I've grown up watching, even in Western cinema, it may be someone like Jack Nicholson or DiCaprio, Dilip Kumar, Amitabh Bachchan. Very understated performances.
Correct.
They are when you see their performances on screen, it's like almost like an absence of craft. You don't see the craft there, which is great because there's so much of work done behind the scenes that it suddenly looks like such an easy performance. And that's what I try to put into most of my films when I perform that way. So that is, and also very real characters, in a way aspirational characters. The average Joe that ends up doing something unique or aspirational in the end of the film.
Okay.
So I've always played those kind of characters, very average characters, someone that people from my nation can, simple people can relate to, and also their aspirations are kind of reflected in the actions of that character. So those kind of scripts, those kind of people, again, a dream come true. A role for me right now was playing Mohammad Azharuddin in a biopic. It's a very controversial film.
Yeah.
I've grown up watching him. So that was like a dream role for me.
Okay.
More biopics, I would say.
So I remember you suddenly vanished for almost a year, I think, when you decided to become actor. So did you do a lot of training?
I was actually an assistant director. I had joined Vishesh Films as an assistant director for almost a year and a half. And then I was picked up to, Mr. Mahesh Bhatt said that, we're making this film, why don't you act in it? And then I just got down to toying around with different acting classes. There was next to Prithvi Theatre in Mumbai,
Yeah, yeah.
where all the theatre with all the plays happen. So I was training over there for a bit. Then Roshan Taneja is a very famous acting professor. I trained under him for like 2 months. And then I think most of my learning has been on the set, on the film set.
Okay. So I think moving on, I think Ayaan was detected with cancer in like late 2013 or early 14.
Yeah.
I mean, that moment was pretty shocking. I remember when I spoke to you. But I mean, what took you through the tough journey?
Firstly, hearing that your own son has got cancer is, it's very difficult to kind of make people understand what a parent goes through.
Yep, yep.
And we went through lot of, different emotions when we heard it. There was anger, there was guilt.
Of course, yeah.
We panicked because obviously our son, is a terminal illness and we didn't know how to tackle this.
Yep.
But I think what took us through this was a lot of optimism, hope that our son will be okay, and we have to take it each day at a time, because cancer is such a thing. There is no one particular. You can't take the chemotherapy and then the tension goes away, because there is a 5-year survival rate.
Window, correct.
Yeah. There's a 5-year survival rate, and then there was always the fear that there is recurrence in cancer, so it's not like a disease that suddenly goes away after you finish your 7 months of treatment. But yes, when we were in the fire, when we heard the news, the operation, the surgery, the first couple of chemotherapies, it was crazy for us. It kind of ripped everything apart for us, and suddenly, we came back from a New Year vacation in 2014, and suddenly our lives were turned around. And it came around without any warning sign.
Yeah,
there was no one from my family had cancer. Yes, an aunt from Parveen's side had cancer. She had been diagnosed a couple of years back. But this is the thing with cancer. You hear that it's happened to someone else, and it suddenly happens in your house. It comes without a warning. Ayaan didn't have any fever. He didn't have any physical discomfort. And he got cancer. So that was very scary for us. But I think hope is something that took us through the entire 2 years.
I totally agree with you on that one, at least. And so, given that this detection happened, I think before you were about to shoot for Mr. X, correct?
Yes.
And how difficult was shooting for the movie then?
It was very difficult. I had actually 3 films on a floor at that time.
3 films, okay.
And Mr. X was starting off. So my schedule was cancelled, because I remember it was the 13th of Jan 2014 when he was diagnosed. I was supposed to start in 3 days on the 16th of Jan. So the film set was pulled down in Mumbai because they had a set standing there. And they had to, dismantle the set, because I had to be with my son for almost, those 2 weeks when his operation, his recovery.
Yeah.
And then we had to take a very tough call. A lot of people, including the producers, all my producers, said that just take time off, go for 6 months. I'm obviously not going to be in this mind space. Finish it off and come back.
Correct.
But my wife said, very important. I'll take care of Ayaan. It's very important for you to work. There's only as much as you can do, because it's only taking the chemotherapy once a week. And what are we going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to, obviously let go of all this work and the timelines. So I had to rush back from Mr. X. Okay. And it was very tough. It was the toughest shoot of my life. I think it's very, in a way, it was a numbing agent shooting for this film, because every time I was performing in front of the screen, it was like I could detach myself from the problem.
Keep yourself busy, right? Yeah.
Yes, immerse yourself in the work. That was something that got me through those 3-4 months. And then I rushed back to Ayaan, and then we discharged from the hospital.
Okay. And your biggest lesson you have learned after all this,
A lot of lessons. One is obviously health, extremely important.
Oh, yes.
And all the research that I've done with cancer, and it being predominantly a lifestyle disease, like other things like your heart attacks these days, that's really exploded. Obviously, cancer's overtaken all the other diseases.
Yes, it has.
Diabetes. So all this comes from our extremely poor lifestyle changes that we've made in the last 10, 20 years. And especially in a place like India, where the pollution is so bad, and all we can do is eat well. So
Yeah,
I've
that's true.
researched a lot about that.
I know,
So
I heard.
yeah, so I've got obsessed with that, and that's changed our entire lives around. And everything has become like close to organic. Yeah, we have our cheat meals sometimes, but that's something that something we can't take for granted now, that we have to eat well
I
to
agree.
stay
I
healthy.
agree with you on that point. Actually,
Yeah.
totally agree with you. So, doesn't failure make you like doubt yourself? I mean, where do you get the confidence from, basically? I mean, after all this.
Uh, you know, Acting is all about exuding that confidence, even if you feel like shit. So yeah, this is a profession which is extremely harsh, and you have lots of ups and downs. I've seen them very early on.
Yeah, yeah.
Failures is not something new to me. I started off in the industry as a person that people didn't even want to include in the list of actors. And then I had to fight my way in, and then I became a star, and I shocked everyone. So I'm very used to the criticism and people just writing you off after a couple of debacles.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of easier with that criticism now. I kind of rein it in,
Okay.
but you have to have fighting spirit to
Of
kind of
course.
last in this
Totally.
industry.
Totally.
Keep blazing ahead when people are constantly doubting you. You have to reassure yourself and say that I know my job. I'm a great actor, and I will keep moving
Sure.
forward.
Okay.
That's what something that gets actors through, and actors who have been around for 20, 30 years. I've spoken to them. Obviously, this is something that gets them through the long haul.
Great. So moving on to your book, The Kiss of Life: How a Superhero and My Son Defeated Cancer. I think written by you and Bilal Siddiqi.
Bilal.
Yeah. It details you and Parveen's struggle after Ayaan was diagnosed, and of course, bouncing back. I think it was released by Penguin House and released by Arvind Kejriwal at an event in Delhi. So when you decided to write it, how was it writing it first? I mean, did you have to go through all that pain again or the memory again? And
Yes, it is.
okay,
Yeah, it was. It was completely because I took some time to decide to write it, because I didn't want to go through the entire the memory and kind of
yeah,
recalling all
it
those
is.
events
It's yeah,
in detail. But then when I got down to writing it, it was very painful, but in a way therapeutic, because it was just reliving it and penning it down, expressing it again was almost like a counseling session. You just go through the entire
yeah,
exercise,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
somewhere you find peace with all of that. Like a lot of kind of memories and things that you've kind of suppressed, and I poured all of that down into the book,
I
and
guess.
it was kind of a relief after
Yeah,
I did that. So it was painful,
of
but
course.
I
Yeah.
think it was more therapeutic than
I guess
painful.
the thought of Ayan triumphing over it also helped you
Yes,
push through to finish it. I guess, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Actually, I did read half of it. I'm reading it right now,
Yeah.
actually, and I've done a.
Okay.
The research I've done on that book is kind of amazing, man. I must,
Yeah.
I must plug it by saying it's. I think not just for survivors, but for everyone to read this.
For everyone.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
Because personally, of course, going through it, it's just really good. And by the
Yes.
my wife wants a signed copy, by the way. So,
Of course, as many as you want. But
so
that's what you've
yeah,
gone through half of it. We've included. Through those 4 months, I started reading up so much. My wife actually thought I needed a shrink, because I got so obsessed with the disease. And this is
yeah,
something you will know about,
I
because
know.
there's a fear that most of us, parents, caregivers, cancer patients have, that the chemotherapy is fighting the disease when you're going through the medication, when you're taking the
Yep,
medical
yep, yeah.
intervention. What happens after you stop it? You keep fearing that it comes back. So
Correct,
there had to be
absolutely,
some
dude.
way we could fight it, but an oncologist will never tell you. They'll say that take the chemotherapy and fingers crossed, everything will be fine. That's not what you want to hear. So
Yeah, yeah.
I gathered all this information from alternative treatments, which has been phenomenal, because I've spoken to people, and there are case studies of people who have actually fought third and fourth stage cancer
Yep,
purely
yep.
on nutritional intervention and no chemotherapy, no radiation, and they have survived it. So that's the thing that I put my son, and also we're kind of following that as much as we can
Yep,
in our
yep.
homes. So that was very important.
And how have the comments been from people after reading it?
Oh, we've got, it's phenomenal. There have
Great.
been people who have obviously not fought the disease, and it's been such a learning process for them, because it's also for people to reduce the probability of getting the disease
That's
if they
what.
never
That's
got the
very
disease.
important. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of mail, a lot of stuff from social media that we've got, the feedback. I had my book launch in Mumbai, and people kind of flew in from across the country, and they were pretty, people who've had their kids and who have been fighting cancer themselves, and people also who have not had it. They just are very moved by the entire book and the experience, and also it's very inspirational. The kind of inspiration I drew for my son. So they all love the book.
Oh, great. So moving on to, let's say, I think what first it was Jannat 6 years back, which had a match fixing subplot, and today, of
Yeah.
course, Azhar is released on May 13th, a super hit. So how did you, when you read the script, what made you accept it? I mean, how has the journey been so far?
I've been a big Azhar fan,
Uh-huh.
and that was mainly the reason why I did it, because I found it to be an extremely interesting story. And I said yes to it without hearing the story at that time.
Okay.
I obviously had followed everything in his life,
Mhm.
and I just felt it's a very interesting life, kind of, and a person to portray on screen. And that was purely the reason to get into the character, get into the shoes of Azhar.
Okay. How has the reaction been to the movie? I mean, from
It's been
personally,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yes, there's been a tremendous amount of positive feedback for my performance. It's been a mixed bag as far as a certain criticism goes, because
Mhm.
we have fictionalized portions in the film.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a feedback that we got from the audience. But all in all, it's been phenomenal. It's people have loved the way it's been treated, key events from his life that we've kind of encapsulated in the film, because it's very difficult to make it like a 2 hour
Yeah.
on something on such an eventful life, and people have really
Okay.
enjoyed the experience.
And people were extremely critical when they saw you playing Azhar's role.
Because physically they felt
Okay.
I don't match,
Okay.
and that's why that's where the 3-inch heels come in. So everything from the height to
Uh-huh.
obviously the makeup and things, we had to kind of tweak. But
Okay.
obviously, I mean, the only way I could look like Azhar is if I go under the knife and have a plastic surgery.
Yeah.
But I think
Uh-huh.
the positive feedback is that a lot of mannerisms of Azhar that people have given a thumbs up when they've seen me. This shake of the head, the way he used to walk, the way he
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
bat,
yeah.
his flick shots.
Uh-huh.
People have appreciated that. So that's kind of a relief, because as an actor, you put in your best, but you never know how the audience is going to accept it or criticize it. But overall, it's been pretty much accepted and
Great.
like performance.
What is Azhar's reaction to you playing him?
He initially was very supportive,
Okay.
and he was the man who came in and said that he'll coach me for cricket, which
Oh,
was
wow.
great.
Okay.
And there was a relief when he saw the film, and he gave the entire crew and me a thumbs up and said that this is a fantastic film and I've done a great job. It is, for me, it was a huge responsibility, because there was one for other fans to like the film and feel like we've done justice to his life, and the other thing is him and his family. There was a preview in Hyderabad
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
3 weeks back. Family saw it, his cousins, his mom and dad saw it. They all called me up and they wished me
Wow.
and said
Okay.
that we really saw Azhar there. It was a very moving performance, and they loved the film. And Azhar said that I can see any other actor do it. That was a
Excellent.
big compliment,
Yeah.
and also for our crew, it was
Yeah.
sense of relief. We've got it right.
And the outcome is what you expected?
We have been getting a lot of positive response. Like I said, there is a bit of negative response
Yeah, yeah, of
between
course. Everything.
with a film of this nature, because it is a controversial film, and the thing that was I guess riding against the film from the first day that it was conceptualized was that even though Azhar has been acquitted by the courts, there is such a huge part that has already pronounced him guilty and
Correct.
says that
Yeah, yeah,
he's,
yeah.
which was something that was working against the film. So the reception that we got has been a very positive response, because we were actually working against these forces that were lobbying against the film and saying that how can you make Azhar somewhere? How can you redeem this character after he told the nation? But the court acquittal, despite of the court acquittal, they were saying. So I think that silenced most of them, and people who've obviously come in as fans have loved it. So we're very happy with it.
Great. So finally, Amy, any advice to our aspiring actors listening to the show?
Well, I think, if you aspire to be an actor, first of all, you have to be prepared that it is going to be an extremely tough, harsh, difficult journey ahead. Acting is not a easy, not an easy journey, and the glam is something you see on screen. There's a lot of hard work, there are a lot of ups and downs, and if you have the guts and the stomach to handle it, that's only then get into this profession. And like you have, of course, great success in this industry, there's also high profile failure.
Absolutely.
And there are lots of ups and downs, like in any profession. But here, the only thing is, if you fall in front of a million people. So it's public failure. So that's something you have to be okay with. And of course, you have to constantly work at your craft. You're constantly at it.
Correct.
And acting is something you learn on the job.
Correct.
The more work you do, the better you get at it. And there's no theoretical way of learning acting. You can't sit at home, read a book and learn acting.
It's
get out there and just learn on the job.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Again, Amy, buddy, thanks for taking the time to talk to us and inspiring our listeners to overcome struggle and continue their journey towards Bollywood. All right. Thanks, Amy. And if you all haven't seen it yet, do see Azhar and also read the book Kiss of Life. It's a great book to read.
I think they can get it on an ebook because it's available in India and Middle East. So Amazon ebook is where you can download the book from.
So Kindle, right?
Kindle, yes.
All right, perfect. All right. Thanks again, Amy, for being on the show, and do visit us at theasianentrepreneur.com to get the show notes, and also do leave a review on your thoughts about this show. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. Our hope is that you are encouraged by what you've heard, and you can put these same concepts and mindsets to use with your own style. See you next time as we discover more about what it takes to be an accomplished entrepreneur. In the meantime, head over to theasianentrepreneur.com and check out show notes and other information to motivate you in your entrepreneurial endeavors.